Hello there. Welcome to the Chinese New Year, the new moon in Aquarius, and the year of the water rabbit begins. So, we've just had the tiger, the water tiger. Tigers are bold and passionate and smart, versatile, intense. You probably saw a lot of changes in your lives in 2022. Not so easy, I would imagine. Some people probably use the boldness to move ahead, do gutsy things, try something new, break out of your confines of whatever you might have felt stuck in. And others probably just felt, rattled and kicked around by life, by all the intensity we had. So now the rabbit is still a water, so it's still emotional, but you take the tiger and you take it down, way down a notch. So now you have ultra sensitive. You have wanting things to be smooth, wanting things to be pleasant. Yes, things might be a bit more surface, but it's because they want some peace, trying to find some middle ground, trying to find a way to restore harmony and restore our nervous system. So the rabbit is sort of a good year for going within and healing emotionally, or for building intimacy, but not through like big passion like a tiger, like through gentleness, talking, listening, a lot of patience, extra sensitive. So on the good side, that could bring us a lot more connection. And on the downside, people might be really weary and therefore have a hard time dealing with their emotions. Could be a lot more anxiety this year. And also people do not like to deal with direct conflicts, maybe ever, but the rabbit ultimately hates it. Whereas the tiger will be like, bring it on, I'll take it on. The rabbit is like, no thanks, I'm out of here. So the rabbit does not like direct confrontation or criticism, doesn't like to get into fights, will just walk away, usually, or avoid. So for those of us that are signs that are a little more bold and like to be direct or assertive, it's not the greatest energy for that. We all have to be more delicate and sensitive to people this year, which, as I said, can be very good for connecting and very good for healing. It's just that after the tiger, we're not used to this. We gotta shift gears quite a bit. So I'm not sure if I can share the screen on this app that I'm working with. Yeah, I do not see a place to share the screen. So that means I'm not going to be able to show you the chart. I'm going to have to just look at it, and you'll have to just trust me. Yeah, I'm in a different country yet again. Last time I came to you with the full moon, I was in London, England. Now I'm in Cuba. So, pretty interesting times, interesting year for me. And I don't know, maybe you can see it. Maybe you can sense the energy is so different since you're seeing me in different places. Do you feel the vibe of this room? You feel the vibe, Anyway, sensitivity to vibes will be a thing this year with the rabbit as well. With the water rabbit, everybody will be like, I'm not sure about that. No, there's something really good about this. I don't know why, but there is. Like, it's an intuitive time with the water rabbit as well. Like the same thing that makes us a bit more nervous or anxious or ultra sensitive can also make us hyper intuitive. It's both, okay? It's both. So there'll be a lot of people talking about vibes. I don't have editing software here. Otherwise, I could edit the chart. But if you would like to see the chart, and I will be back in Canada for the next foreseeable future videos. We'll be back to normal. But for now, if you do want to see the chart, I will have it posted in my membership area. So if you want to go to my website, river-rain.com, you're going to see membership and the new moon. It's free. And then you get access to new moon and full moon. And all of the videos, all of the charts, all of the Sabian symbol links, which are allegories or metaphors for every degree of the zodiac. And that's a lot of what we use to predict with. That is up every time. So you can always go to my website and see these if you want to join a free membership for my website. So river-rain.com. So otherwise, I'm going to take a look now at this chart and zoom in a little. So as usual, the chart is cast for the Eastern time zone. And that means that the rising sign for this new moon is Cancer. Well, how apropos is that? You know, sensitivity and the sign of Cancer go hand in hand. So what's that mean? Cancer rising is someone who can't hide how they feel. They wear their heart on their sleeve. So you might find during this new moon time that you also have a heart. Maybe you don't want to conceal how you feel. Maybe some of you are trying to hide it, but it's more obvious. Maybe you are coming across or feel more vulnerable than usual. Maybe you're feeling more nurturing and motherly or fatherly than usual, because Cancer is a sign of the mother, the parent, usually mother, but the nurturer, you know, whichever it is. So a lot of empathy, a lot of, again, a point of emotional connection is there. However, this is a new moon in Aquarius, and Aquarius tends not to want to do that. Aquarius does not want to show us that we're sensitive. They are, but they don't want to show us. They prefer to keep their vulnerability to themselves, usually, even not showing their closest people sometimes. So Cancer rising is really like going to challenge that. You might not, again, you might wish you could be all stoic and strong and, you know, show detachment, but you might not be able to. You might find that you're showing your emotions. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, because it's a potential point of connection to somebody. It's a potential for intimacy when you do that. So what we've got going on here is the sun and moon are at 1 degree of Aquarius. And the thing is, Pluto is now at 28 degrees Capricorn. So it's 2 degrees away, 3 degrees away. So Pluto is packing a punch with this new moon. Now, how would I look at that? Well, if this was somebody's personal chart, so if somebody's born on this new moon, January 21st, Pluto with the sun and the moon together is extremely potent. It means a very charismatic individual. It means somebody who has a lot of magnetism, a lot of power in their vibe. And that can play out as either somebody that seems very larger than life, charming, magnetic, gregarious, has a sway, you know, has a pull, has a presence. And it depends on other things. Do we like that presence? I mean, this could be like a celebrity aspect. Or if we don't like that presence, then it would seem aggressive or overbearing or way too much, way too intense. Or it could seem manipulative with Pluto there. So it's really going to depend on what else is touching that sun and moon. It's also in the 7th house, which is relationships. So I'm going to say right off the bat that A, you're going to feel and seem more vulnerable than you might like to. B, there could be some magnetic, charming people in your presence, or some eccentric and sort of difficult, strange people in your presence. Pluto with Sun Moon could either, you might have some very intense bonding with someone, or you might have a split with someone. Pluto is very all or nothing, death and rebirth. If it's meant to go through an upheaval in order to liberate and transform it, it will. If it can handle the tension of going through that, then you come out a lot stronger. Otherwise, a lot of unions would break under that kind of pressure. So if you can make it through a Pluto, Sun Moon Pluto transit with somebody, you're probably good with that person. You know, otherwise, yeah, it's going to provoke a lot of old stuff to come up. And it's in the 7th house of romance and marriage. And, you know, we can never predict stuff that's across the board for every person. But this kind of chart could show potential for either the transformation of an intimate relationship into the next stage, or it could split it up. So what is it hitting then? What are the aspects? So we've got actually pretty nice aspects to it. So this is good. This bodes well more for the transformative side, for the plunging into the depths together and coming out on the other side with new understanding or closeness. Or this could be, you know, it's Aquarius, so this could be a new level of acceptance that happens. But at first it sort of blows your mind open first because of Pluto. This could be an unconventional pairing with Pluto and Aquarius. This could be a time when independently you just go through some sort of inner upheaval about your close relationships, and you come out of it with a more detached mind and you see things in a different light. So it's making an aspect here to Mars, which is still in Gemini, which will be direct by then. So Mars is not retrograde anymore. So this is a nice thing too, because Mars retrograde is not easy. Everything is, you know, things are suppressed. That drive to act, that pulse to go get her done, you know, or to be assertive. It's already dual with Gemini. It's already going 5 directions, but then it's retrograding. So it's like, well, 5 directions, but thwarted, you know, very frustrating influence. You know, I'm sure you felt it. You know, Mars retrograde in Gemini has passed the whole holiday season. Very frustrating times in many ways, with communication and with others, and with things breaking and leaking, and, you know, Mercury retrograde as well. So now Mars is direct, and it's making a great aspect to the Sun, Moon, and Pluto. So things can really move forward on the communication front. If you are ready to have a good talk with somebody, make amends, set a boundary, it can be an excellent time. Now, the other thing is it's making a good aspect with Jupiter and Neptune. They're minor, but they're still making a good aspect. So that just means to me, like, there's a sense of expansion, and there's a sense of doing things for a more maybe higher purpose, or for an altruistic or spiritual aspect. Meaning, let's say you do take things forward with the relationship, and you set a boundary, or you say something you haven't, you know, that you've needed to say, or you have some heart-to-heart clarity. You might be bringing in an aspect of higher mindedness to it. So, for example, Neptune and Jupiter could help, you know, when Neptune's in Pisces, could really give you a lot of empathy and compassion for the other person. So even if you have to say something tough to somebody, you might be able to say it in a way that it has like some delicacy to it, and it has an understanding of that person's path versus your path. You know, Jupiter brings, again, a sense of justice, a sense of expansion, of higher mindedness. It's in Aries, so it's more about the self. So, but again, how would you, you know, higher mindedness with the self, how does that play out? Well, sometimes you might get to this position where you feel like, okay, I've thought long and hard about this person or this situation. And for my own health and for the health of this relationship going forward, I need to take this step and say something that might be a little bit tough, but it might move the relationship forward. It might bring some emotional release or healing to all involved. But you would have to be doing it with this goal that it's for the higher good of both. Not a selfish, reactive kind of thing. For Jupiter, Neptune to be active, it has to bring in, the dimension of both people have their own path, both people have their own choice, both people have their own free will, both people have, things that they came here to live, that whether they're compatible with what you want in your relationship or not. And coming from that broader perspective, Pluto could be absolutely transformative with the sun and moon as far as communicating what you need to say. Yeah. So I get a very strong feeling, if you are ready for it, you might know what you need to do as your next step on some sort of healing journey. You might know what you need to do next to help restore or set a relationship straight that you've been on the fence about, or things are dragging. So there's really a strong pull for that in this chart. Now, what else is going on is, again, we've got Mercury down here in Capricorn, which just went direct. So it's interesting because Mercury is direct at 8 degrees Capricorn. Mars is direct at 8 degrees in Gemini. It's interesting, the 8. So it's an exact quincunx, or 150 degrees. So that degree tends to be something where it sort of like rubs each other the wrong way a little. But it is sort of a minor aspect, and I'm just noting it because it's the exact degrees. I don't get a feeling it's super strong as far as the frustration factor. However, Mercury is squaring off with Jupiter and Chiron in Aries. So Mercury in Capricorn wants to be very serious, practical, long-term thinking. It wants to be, usually more in control. Again, not very vulnerable. And then you've got Jupiter and Chiron in Aries at the top of the chart, which are like sort of screaming like, I just gotta be me. I just gotta be me. My wounds, they're hurt, So it's sort of like flies in the face of, now, let's just keep this calm. We don't need to be reactive. And Jupiter and Chiron are going, yeah, but this is what happened, and that's what you did, and that's what this is. So there could be a little bit of that if you are finding some frictions in in certain dynamics. Well, take a look at, is there somebody trying to control the conversation or control the narrative, or shut down the person who's expressing their feelings? That'd be the Capricorn side. Or take a look at, is somebody just like bleeding their wounds all over the sidewalk and it's a bit much? Because Jupiter and Chiron together could be really like, let's talk again about how wounded, again and again and again you are without a solution. We need to express them, but we also need to temper them somehow, or look for safe ways for that to come out. But, it's in the 10th house at the top of the chart. It's very public. It could be very public. I don't know. Are we going to see some news around people having confessions of things that happened to them, or revealing of wounds? And, you might need to reveal it, but just expect some pushback from it too. Mercury in Capricorn wants to control it. Now, Mars over there in Gemini, it's making a sextile, so not a super strong aspect, but it's helping it out. And as we said, Sun, Moon, and Pluto is helping it out with Jupiter and Chiron there. So it's sort of boding more for like, it's a time to talk about what happened to you, to talk about whatever pain you've had, whatever wound to yourself you've had, because Chiron in Aries is the wound of the self. So people that feel like they don't know who they are sometimes, their identity is sort of shaky because of some sort of trauma. They're not clear on who they are versus who other people are. Sometimes it's a person who's constantly putting themselves last. They don't know how to take care of themselves or love themselves. And Jupiter there is just emphasizing this, and it might bring it all out into the open because it's the 10th house. Most of the planets here are supporting that. So again, how do you want to do that? How is it productive? How is it safe? What's the best way to do that? Well, usually with safe people, in therapy, in a safe group setting, with a person you trust. But when it comes to Jupiter Chiron on the midheaven there, like right at the top of the chart, I would expect some people are going to have public blurt outs, or make public announcements, or maybe we're going to see high-level court case launched about something, a wound that someone is finally speaking out about, because it's got this public aspect to it. So the other supportive thing in the chart here is Uranus and North Node, again, in Taurus, like usual, getting a little bit tighter. They're 5 degrees apart now. We're going to see something happen when the North Node actually touches Uranus. I haven't psychically tried to tune into what would that event look like, but I'm expecting there will be an event when those two conjunct. And it's something where it'll be bigger than all of us, something that's global, that's felt globally, that pulls us forward or kicks our asses forward, since it's the North Node. But for now, they're still a few degrees apart, and they are supporting Mercury in Capricorn. There's always contradictory things in a chart. So this would be supporting some of that. Let's temper this. Let's keep it calm. Let's keep it under control. Let's measure this. We don't need to blurt everything out or hang out all our baggage to be seen. Let's just, when it's trine Uranus and North Node, well, Uranus still has that blurting out possibility, but it would sort of support, let's do this calmly. Let's do this on a practical level. But Jupiter and Chiron are just screaming in Aries at the top, I think louder than the rest of it. And also we've got Saturn and Venus together, which are conjunct. They're like a degree apart, less than a degree apart. Yeah. And they're in Aquarius. And they are squaring off with Uranus and North Node. So somebody is not getting their needs met, and they are upset, and they are going to scream about it, and they are going to say, hey, what the hell? So we all know that that situation can be extremely transformative and healthy and healing when it's said at the right time to the right person in the right intensity. And we all know that it can be a bloody mess and turn into a huge drama that has repercussions for, months or years to come if it's not handled well. So because Cancer is rising, you might find that despite yourself, you just got to say, this is what I want. These are my needs. I'm not getting what I need. I'm not being, seen or acknowledged, heard. I'm tired of whatever circumstance in my life. And I just encourage everybody to really step back and think about not whether to say it or not. Think about, how do I need to say it, and to who? And try to be conscious and a little more choosy and in control of your timing and of your delivery. Because the good side of Mercury in Capricorn is that you could say something in a very effective and powerful way, not to dominate, but with a good long-term mind to solving something without getting so emotionally reactive that it, pushes a solution or people away, but without being so controlled and oppressed. That Mercury, Uranus, Neptune, North Node, sorry, could help with your delivery, but you're going to need to just first think about what you need to say, to whom, think about a good timing, think about the delivery, and it could very much be a transformative time in a relationship or in your life. Let's take a look now at the tarot for this. Alrighty. That was an interesting chart. Alrighty. So our cards for this new moon, Chinese New Year. We've got the Ten of Swords, so say no more, there's a wound. Ruin, ruin. It's so dramatic. You've got the Sun in Libra and the Moon in Gemini in this card. Now, normally people would say, oh, but Libra and Gemini go along together. Yeah, they're both air signs, but if you have somebody, the Sun in Libra, who's always going, I don't know, I'm not sure, is this fair? Is this the right way to go about it? Oh, but that's the underdog, so maybe this person, and I want to balance everything, and I want everything to be fair. And then you've got the Moon in Gemini going, oh, look, oh, I want to do that. Look, oh, but maybe, oh, but she said, but I heard that. Oh, and it's just like frenetic details that the Moon in Gemini is like all excited about. And Libra's going, but I can't weigh everything that you're possibly throwing at me. This is just ruin. Ten of Swords. Fritzed. Fried. Mind is fried. Okay. So if some of you are feeling like your brain is just utterly fried from thinking about something, you need a break. And it's probably the thing that you need to think about solving and then saying, getting in touch with your needs that aren't met. Yeah. All right. Well, second card is the Prince of Swords, so that's usually somebody who is pretty scattered all over the place. Somebody who's not being honest either, usually. They're usually sort of cunning. They're smart and they're charming as hell, but they can be cunning. They're not always up front. And they can be clever. They can be... sometimes they're scattered and they don't have bad intentions, but some of them do. Some of them can be, lying and scamming and no intention of being clear with you. The person that you're dealing with, if this is someone you relate to, this person does not have a stable mind to give you a stable answer. Then comes the Queen of Wands, who says, well, screw that. I'm taking charge here. I don't give two craps how scatterbrained you are. I'm not putting up with that stuff. She's going to put her foot down. Maybe she's going to be dominant. Maybe she'll be overbearing. She could be. But also might be justified. When you got ruin and the Prince of Swords, there could be something that's just way out of hand, with a person like this in your life. And it doesn't have to be men and women either, by the way. Like, the card could be a man. This Prince of Swords could be a woman. You've just got these two archetypes of people. You've got somebody who's making a mess or whose head is a mess, and then you've got someone coming in going, oh, no. It's not happening this way anymore. I'm not putting up with that. Yeah. Then you've got somebody who's a little more voice of reason coming in. Princess of Discs. Now, she's definitely more like a Capricorn influencer, Taurus. Look how practical, down to earth she is. You would go out in the woods, you'd sit with her, she'd be real with you. She's not trying to manipulate anything. She's got her horns on, and it sort of shows some wisdom. She's got her sort of wheel of the year, her disc, or, sort of holds the world in her hands, and yet she's in the woods with a cloak. She's looking down, but there's all this light, as if she's in front of a fire or something. She doesn't have, this arrogance. She's looking down at the earth for her answers. So this is somebody you want to consult. You want to take a look at who around me, if you're in this position where you need to talk to somebody, who around me is very grounded, who around me is wise and practical that I can go to. Because the Queen of Wands, we need her to come in and go. No. But she also is just like, she's on a tear. She's on a mission to like do what she wants too. So Princess of Discs is much more impartial. My goodness, this whole reading is about people. Now we've got the Prince of Wands. So we've got somebody who's very confident, maybe too much, maybe a bit arrogant, certainly very charming. And he dashes in and he thinks he can solve everything. So you've got another contender in this picture. Now, is that you? Is that someone around you? I'm going to take a look a little further because 4 people in a row is not usual for a reading. Oh my goodness, there's 5. Princess of Swords. So another player in this is a Princess of Swords. So you've got the prince and the princess. Both are people that are usually very clever and emotionally tormented, and therefore melodramatic, confrontational, sneaky, scatterbrained. But she likes to pick a fight. She often creates her own problems and then complains about them. So you've got a lot of cast of characters here. Let's see what else comes up. Well, okay. We've got the 3 of Cups. So, well, it sort of looks like deep down people do want to sort of work this out and get along. They want to restore some sort of harmony. They wish that they were still in contact or close. They want things to be easy. But again, the Ten of Swords sticks out, and there's 5 people. So it's hard to say whether you relate to this as a bunch of colleagues or individually people around you, or whether this is a family system or a friend group. But there's too many people here with different personalities for this to just be like an easy whitewash, oh, let's just get along kind of thing. Doesn't happen. But the abundance card is good if you are able to make inroads and have a heart to heart with maybe one of these people. There's a desire to work things out. Now you have to figure out who they are. The Princess of Swords usually doesn't want to. She wants to be right. Prince of Swords, he's always got something up his sleeve, or he's always stuck in his head. Very hard for him to get here. But Princess of Discs, Prince of Wands, Queen of Wands, yeah, in the right state of mind, they could come to agreements. They could smooth things out. My goodness, what a reading. Oh, now we've got the 8 of Cups, so we've got a desire to just give up and walk away. Give up, surrender. Enough, I'm done. A loss of faith. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be with everybody, but you might find that there's somebody or a situation that you just have to surrender. It's done. You've done as much as you can. Or maybe it's not forever, but it's for now. And you might feel depressed or sad about that, or lonely. But sometimes we have to surrender and just wave the white flag and say, I've done all I can do. The Ten of Swords, you've been probably mentally tormented and exhausted by your thought process around one of these relationships. And some are workable and some you're going to be like, we're done. And finally, that's nice. The nine of discs, 9 of wands. So we end off on in a strong place. It says strength right on it. Sun and moon and Sag. Well, you're going to find your sense of peace by ironically realizing you're free. So this tells me that as you make peace with some and let go of others, you're going to reclaim a certain strength of your own independence and feel very liberated and free, which is again very Pluto, very Plutonian. Wow, what a new moon this is. Let's take a look at some messages for your new moon, for your sign. Yeah, I should really write that. 1 second here. Okay, so let's phrase how we're going to do the readings for the new moon. I would love to combine it with the Chinese, but it's not going to work very well because you really need to look at your sun sign and what's coming up for that, and then you can look at your Chinese sign as well. So I'll see how much I can get the internet while I'm here in Cuba, because it's not been obvious, and I might do some predictions for the Chinese New Year as well for your animal sign. So this is just the astrology for now. So we're going to just figure out what is your Chinese New Year new moon message. What do you focus on? What should you be focused on? Or we could focus it around relationships, since the chart's all about that. But I think enough said. We'll just have a general message for your sign. All right. So Aries, new moon message. You've got the 7 of Cups. Well, you might be feeling a bit sort of deceived. This is a card that shows emotional sort of toxicity. Sometimes it means it's a swamp, okay? So the waters become stagnant and unhealthy, and now there's stuff growing in it. It's dirty, it's not clear. This can sometimes be reflected in the body as like alcohol, drugs, addiction, STDs. And emotionally, it can mean very toxic emotions, like could be greed, could be self-pity, could be, lust and lying. It's often a card that comes up for cheating, but also for issues around abuse, of substance or emotional abuse, sexual abuse. It's a heavy card. So your new message, I would think then, is that you might be struggling to overcome some of these themes, whether it's yourself or people close to you. And yeah, so this card usually tells me that people might need some help, might need some outside help, meaning therapist, or an advisor, spiritual advisor in some way. So if you are dealing with anything that is of that heavy nature, the new moon might be a good time to admit that you need to get some help. And if you've got a friend close to you or a family member close to you that's dealing with that, then you might be part of them getting some help. Yeah. All right. Taurus. The Emperor. Well, your new moon message is going to be all about dealing with power, people in power. This could be sometimes father figure, a boss, an authority figure. Could be the government in general. Yeah, I get a feeling like you're wondering about whether it's sort of like, do you agree with the powerful people around you? Are you aligned with them? Are you on their side? Are you against them? Like you're trying to position yourself when it comes to an authority figure, or again, governments, rules, regulations, patriarchy, capitalism. It's sort of all of those ultra masculine energies with the Emperor and Capricorn. Well, actually, it's Aries. Yeah, I always think of it as a Capricorn card, but it's actually Aries. So, think about your own use of power and authority in your life. Think about the people around you that you consider to be powerful or hold authority. Think about whether you are on board with the way they do things ethically. Yeah, it's sort of an interesting read. I can't quite tell what's that mean. Maybe you're questioning a lot of things. Maybe it's going to dictate whether you feel you get ahead or not, um, or how you get ahead, or who can help you. It can be aligning with powerful people. Gemini. Well, you've got the get her done, not putting up with crap card. Yeah, you've got the Queen of Wands that we talked about in the other reading. So, you're definitely feeling like you're taking charge of your life. You're ready to be bold. You got no patience for a lot of stuff anymore. You might just want to be careful. Like we said, sometimes the Queen of Wands can come across as just like a bit overbearing or too dominant. So the best expression of it is to just be, sure and confident. And no, you're not going to let anyone haggle you and push you around, but you also don't have to be like a blunt object about whatever you say or whatever you need or what you want to do. But I think it's good. You're sort of in a take no prisoners. I'm going to just be assertive and bold about what I want. Just watch that you don't step on anybody. That's all. But go for it. Interesting. All right. Cancers. You are at a crossroads. Ooh, the Eon, the Judgment card. Well, you've got some heavy decisions to make, and you're at a crossroads or a threshold. And you sort of know that if you step across the line, you're not coming back. So, as we mentioned with the chart reading, with Pluto, Sun, and Moon in Aquarius, it can be a very powerful or transformative time depending on what you do, depending on how you say it. But it's really looking like you need to cross a threshold. You need to get off the fence. You need to make a decision you've probably been weighing for forever. The thing is, this card usually means that you have weighed everything. And now no other outside body is going to tell you. The Judgment card in the Rider-Waite is more like Christian, where, God comes down to judge you, on Judgment Day, and you're like, please, I hope that you're worthy, sort of thing. In the Thoth deck, it's very different. It's us who has assessed everything, and instead of looking outside for an answer or what's the next step, now it's saying you have to decide and step forward and stand by yourself. And the next card is the universe of the world, where things come to fruition and you're ending a chapter of your life, ending a cycle. So you're on the threshold of ending a cycle, and it's important that you step forward and state where you stand on something or with somebody. And this card definitely tells you you have assessed it and assessed it and assessed it. There's really nothing more you can do and nothing more anyone else can tell you. You have to stand by yourself and step up. Whew. That's a heck of a read. Oh, okay. Leos. Very nice. The luxury card. So, 4 of Cups. So for your new moon, even though it's in Aquarius and you're a Leo and it's your opposite sign, I really get a feeling that you need to pamper yourself more right now, Leo. You need to step back, and if people are treating you well, wonderful. If they're not, leave them be. You need pampering. You need to be treated as special as you are. We're not saying narcissistic, okay? We're not saying, oh, entitled, or like, oh, well, how come they didn't do this for me for free? No, I'm just saying, like, in your heart of hearts, because we're talking so much about relationships in this reading. In your heart of hearts, when you're with a certain person, do you feel valued? Do you feel special? Do you feel safe and treated well? If it's a no, you walk away or you consider it. Because Sun, Moon, Pluto opposite you, uh, it has a walking away kind of effect. It's like you're with me or you're against me kind of feeling. But what do you base that on? Well, the luxury card, you base it on the moon in Cancer. The moon in Cancer with this card. Do I feel safe? Do I feel loved? Do I feel like I can share? Do I feel like I could be myself? Do I feel like I'm being seen for who I am? Do I feel like I'm being treated specially? Your worth. If the answer is no, you know, try to deal with it with the person. But as we know, very often you can't change anybody's mind and change the way they treat you. Depends who it is. You give it a try, but if you don't feel well or safe or good with a person, it might be time to walk. Otherwise, it will let you know who is there in your corner too, which is great. Virgos. Okay, so you've got the Witch or the Art card, which is also the Temperance card in other decks. So you're juggling so many things. This is the Alchemist card. You know, she's making a brew, she's making a mixture. Everything is a juxtaposition of opposites. She's got one dark hand, one white hand, one light hand. She's got yin yangs. She's got one face in the light. She's got one face in the dark, but the hair's in the dark and the other one's in the light, and everything's flipped. So you might be weighing things endlessly, but you are coming to some sort of conclusion. The witch, she's busy mixing something. She's manifesting something. She's brewing and creating something with all of those juxtapositions and ingredients. So you might be churning over things quite a bit lately, Virgo, but it seems like it's for a reason. It's not like just a stagnant analysis paralysis. But ask yourself, what is it that you're trying to achieve? You know, so that you don't just loop around in your mind. Okay, so you're looping around something. You're analyzing and assessing from this corner and that corner and adding, wondering. Okay, but get in touch with, like, what's your goal? What's your goal with that too? Because you are creating something bigger. Now, the Temperance card also usually is all about higher timing than our own. So whatever you're breaking your head about and trying to fix or understand, sometimes you also got to remember that there's only so much you can do when it comes to dynamics with other people. You know, they also have to do their part. It intermixes with yours. Other people and other things factor in as well. This is all about accepting that there's a whole timing to everything that is greater than us, just like she's mixing things together and one thing interacts with the other on a certain timing and then you get the effects, but you have to know what that is and be patient for it. So as long as you're not stuck looping around going nuts, but your mind is active and just recognize like there's a timing factor, then it's pretty productive, all of that head breaking that you're doing, ironically. Interesting read. Libras. Five of Swords. Well, you've got some conflicts. You've got some, arguing, perhaps, disappointed, pissed off, people saying things that are bothering you. Also, this card sometimes gives, like, because if you can see, Each sword's hilt has a different insignia, right? Just like many swords do when you're in history. They show the coat of arms, or they show who it belongs to. And some of them give me sort of a gang-like feeling, like a violent kind of feeling, the top two, because it sort of looks like a handle of some sort of knife. It's that I don't know. I know it's a sword, but it has a violent feeling. Obviously, this card, right? It's like the five swords point inwards and bend towards each other, and they're creating an inverted pentagram. So it's not good intentioned. It's like conflict sometimes for the sake of conflict, petty arguments that can lead to, you know, um, sort of bitterly walking away from things. It's not productive. It's like, bitching, whining, moaning, petty, little insults, little barbs, being oppositional. It's that kind of vibe. It's not fun. If there's someone around you that you feel is doing that, that might be a person you need to speak to or let go of, or try to transform the situation. And it might not be possible to, but that's the person or situation you should try to tackle. Obviously, Libra, you don't usually want to be part of that at all. So what does that mean? Well, it means it could be something pretty passive aggressive. If it's not outright arguments, there could be a lot of passive aggressive remarks flying around. So wherever that's taking place, that's the one that you need to heal or walk away from. Yeah. All right, Scorpios. Oh my goodness, the Death card. Okay. Well, says it all, doesn't it? Death and rebirth. Well, as we know, the Death card is not a bad card, but it does mean that there is some sort of feeling of a death and then a rebirth that happens pretty quickly. There could be some, uh, issue or person that you feel. Maybe you just get to a point where you're like, I'm willing to let this go. I'm willing to lose this in order to grow. And then it comes back in a better way than it ever did, because you were willing to lose it. You were willing to let it die, and therefore it came back even stronger. Sometimes it's with the same person, sometimes it's with a brand new person. But you get to this point where you're willing to let something go or let it die, and then it transforms and it comes back into light. So obviously you're going through a big transformation right now yourself. If you're at a point where you're like, I'm ready to just let this go. I'm ready to go through whatever I have to lose in order just to liberate myself. If something sneaks up on you and seems to surprise you as a loss, well, the Death card means something better will come quickly in its place, even better than what you thought. It's a reversal card. It's not scary to me anymore. Not for years, because I've lived it and I've seen it in so many people's cards, and I've lived it myself, and it always brings something better. So don't be afraid of seeing the Death card. Just be aware that if you get something that suddenly surprises you and seems like, but I thought, and you feel like the rug's pulled from you, the Death card tells you something better will come and replace it. Don't be afraid. All right, Sag. That's nice. The Lovers, okay. Wow, Sag, maybe your love is in the air for you, or you're thinking about partnering, committing, reaffirming a commitment. Maybe if you're single, maybe you feel more ready to be partnering or dating or in a relationship. Sometimes it's just, the Lovers just represents, weighing things and choices. It's not always guaranteed that it's a love relationship or a marriage like this card. But There's definitely a union of opposites going on, and you might find that you're more willing to be listening and impartial, and not relinquishing your freedom, because you'll never quite do that, but you might be more lenient. You might be more forgiving or willing to compromise right now, because it feels like there's a big desire to be partnered or coupled. Maybe you haven't had that in a while, or maybe, even if for those of you that are partnered or coupled, maybe it's just like, again, like this intimacy needs to come back into your relationship in a greater way, in a newer way than before. So it's got a nice feeling to it. It's got a nice softness. Letting down your guard and letting someone in is not losing your freedom. All right, Capricorns. And you've got the Princess of Swords like we had. So you might have somebody around you who's a bit like this. So is there anyone around you who seems to be complicated, precocious, know-it-all, one-upping, competing, always has the answer but doesn't seem to figure things out, always right but screws things up, not reliable, pushing things, creating conflicts, always bringing something up that's wrong? Does that describe anyone? Hopefully that's not you, but usually it's not with Capricorns. But if you're dealing with someone like that, then this definitely is the person that the new moon will be asking you to open up and tackle and resolve or remove yourself. If it's coming up at work, well, it can be tougher. Depends how often you got to deal with her. So let's see, what would be my best advice if you can't avoid dealing with her? Like, if she's not listening to you to make amends or smooth things out or negotiate, and if you can't get away from her, that's why I'm bringing up work. How would you deal with her? Basically, you'd have to know that it's all about her. This girl is all about her. She's too wound up and tormented in her mind to be thinking of anyone else's needs, because she's in distress because her needs are not met. So it's all about her. It doesn't mean she's a narcissist. This can be any of us at a given time in our lives when we're going through a crisis, and because you're in survival mode. So as long as like, it's all about her and she's in survival mode. So basically, you just want to do whatever you need to calm her. Calming her down doesn't mean letting her walk on you. Calm her down and try to help with something she needs, but don't let her push you around. But you want to calm and appease her. That's the best way to deal with her if you can't remove yourself. All right. Aquarius. Clarity. That is a nice card for you. You got sun, moon, new moon, Chinese New Year, and you've got mental clarity, light bulb ideas, insight, sudden understanding, flash of genius, brilliant ideas. Definitely say them, write them down, bring them up with people. Lots of inspiration here, lots of potential for things moving forward. If this comes to relationship stuff, maybe this is like sudden insight that you have about yourself, about the other person, about the dynamic between you. You might have some sudden desire to have a talk with somebody. There could be a lot of clearing of the air, and if it does, it'll happen probably intellectually and pretty quickly, not too emotional, but it might be enough to just go, that thing like last week, you and me, like, we're good, right? Yeah. Oh, great. Clarity. Whew. Some sort of fog in the room lifts. Or it might be something quick as, so and so at work last week, sort of bugged me when you when you did that during the meeting. Oh, okay. Thank you. Clarity. Quick sword. Just say it. Same with the ideas. That'd be brilliant if we did that. Pitch it. Do it. Say it. Tell your boss. Tell your husband. Tell your wife. Whatever. That's what I want. That's what I'm thinking. Inspiration. Say it clearly, concise. It's going to be good. That's a great card for you. Whew. And Pisces. Yeah, another ace. Look at that. Ace of Cups. Love, creativity, birth. Something is being birthed. Could be a new love, could be a new friendship, could be a new project, could be a baby, could be a new pet, could be a new friend. This is lovely. So that's just so nice. Ace of Cups is one of the best cards ever. So for you as your new moon, you get to have something new and heartwarming. So that just tells me you've probably done an awful lot of this emotional work anyway, that we were speaking about at the beginning, because you're welcoming in the new. You're increasing your love in your life. It's very, very nice. Nice way to leave off the readings too. All right. I wish you a wonderful new moon. I'll be back in a few days with some Chinese New Year predictions for the animal signs. And if you need to reach out to anybody, if you need to reach out to me, I'm here. I'm more than happy, and I'm good at helping people with relationship dynamics. So again, riverrain.com. If you want to sign up for my free membership on my website to get the sun moon reports all the time and newsletter. Also, if you want to join my intuition cafe, if you just like to practice tuning in and seeing what your vibes are and seeing what other people get, it's a great way to practice your intuition and build those muscles and meet some like-minded people. So Intuition Cafe on Facebook. All right, I will see you soon.